Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. It's pronounced East.
Damn it.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli, not the Deke dub or the Cloverway dub, the Viz dub. That one's the good one. Warren.
Well, now I have to include the Sailor Moon talk we just did as a fucking intro or outro.
That way people fucking get it. And I'm Maddy Grace. Again, could not think of a clever joke to continue this
Are
bit.
you a Funimation dub, perhaps? Or
Oh, I'm a Maddy Grace. The Dragon Ball, the original English language Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball dub and localization is fucking fantastic, and is much and is the proper way to watch the show.
Do you mean the one made in Hong Kong, the Lost dub?
No, I mean the American one.
oh my god.
Like God intended.
Well, then do you mean the Ocean dub or the Funimation dub?
Oh, I mean the Funimation dub.
Okay. Speaking of the Ocean dub,
I actually forgot about that for a second.
So there's a part in Dragon Ball Super, spoilers, Eli. I know you were really worried about spoilers for Dragon Ball Z.
I'm going to be absolutely just devastated to hear this, but go on.
But there's a saga in Dragon Ball Super where there's some alien that clones Vegeta. And
Is it Frieza?
No.
That's the one I know.
No,
I also know Majin Buu. Sorry, go on.
But there's one of the villains clones Vegeta, and so then you have the copy Vegeta saga. They got the actor from the Ocean dub who played Vegeta to play copy Vegeta across the Funimation dub's Vegeta.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
That's so great.
Yeah, it was so weird when like they announced it and they had the clip and like up walks this off-looking Vegeta and he talks with the like nasally voice that he did in the Ocean dub, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm transported back to 97.
That's
this
amazing.
Is fucking weird.
There was a similar gag on Space Ghost Coast to Coast where Space Ghost meets the original Space Ghost from the 1960s cartoon, who's voiced by, I think his name's George Lowell. He did the voice of Powdered Toast Man on Ren and Stimpy too, but like it's the new Space Ghost voice actor and the old Space Ghost voice actor, and it's really funny.
My favorite one of these, before we get started talking about video games, is in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Every single Spider-Man is a Spider-Man from a different cartoon. So Spider-Man Noir is Christopher Daniel Barnes from our childhood. Ultimate Spider-Man is Josh Keaton from the Spectacular Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man is Neil Patrick Harris from the Spider-Man cartoon that was set in the continuity of the Sam Raimi movies but doesn't actually work. Cartoon. There was only like 6 episodes of that one. But then Spider-Man 2099 is Spider-Man from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And so it's like just this random old guy voice coming out of Spider-Man. And so although I know that Spider-Man 2099 is like in his 20s, just like Peter Parker, I now, every time I read a 2099 comic, I just imagine he's a 65-year-old man.
God, can you imagine 65-year-old Spider-Man? That's an amazing concept.
Right?
Geriatric superheroes. Like, I want to see that.
Let's do that. But that's not what this
like
podcast
Batman
is
Beyond
about.
if like Batman had continued to be Batman.
It's true.
Anyway, sorry.
This podcast is actually about Brave Story New Traveler and not about voice acting in anime.
That's a lie.
It's a lie. But today we will be covering chapters 5 and 6. Both are longer than before, but not by much. Yeah, they are quite harder. The triplet fight where you fight the same people 3 times in a row.
God.
That one nearly destroyed me.
that fight made me so angry.
Yeah. But before we get to all of that, how is everybody's 3 days?
So I need to put this out there, because I'm not currently doing Let's Plays, and as I'm sure longtime listeners of the podcast are aware, I was a Game Grumps fan. I have cut off all support to them. I have unsubscribed. I've removed Ninja Sex Party songs from my Spotify. I've left their Discord. Like any sort of association that I have, like, and I do not know these people personally. I want to stress that too. Like, I don't have any misapprehensions of having a relationship with them personally. Like, I have no parasocial feelings toward them. But I do not feel comfortable supporting that company after what has come to light over this last weekend. And my heart goes out to the women who were affected by the actions that occurred. I'm not going to go into details. Like, you can find it on Twitter and Reddit. But I want to toss out there, in case anyone who listens to this was concerned that I wasn't aware, or, was concerned that I hadn't said anything about it. Like, I barely go on Twitter. I never go on Reddit. Someone actually sent this to me yesterday because I was performing in Final Fantasy and I had a Ninja Sex Party song lined up for my performance. And she messaged me this information and said, you can still do the song if you want, and I will cover for you if anyone makes a fuss. And I'm like, no, I would rather just cut it and do something else because I have another performance that I can do. And she worked with me to get that all switched out. My character Kaito in Final Fantasy had some of his inspiration from Danny Sexbang. So he has a lot of Ninja Sex Party performances that I'm never going to do again. And that's pretty heartbreaking because I worked really hard on those. And I'm not gonna get to do them anymore. And, Danny Sexbang was his voice claim. But there are other really talented voices out there that I can fit to my character. There are other songs that he can perform that are fun and funny. Lonely Island is still good. Flight of the Conchords is great.
If you want some deep cuts, you should look up Johnny McGovern. He's one of my favorites. He's his alias is the Gay Pimp. And
I've heard of this guy actually.
He's great. Soccer Practice is one of my absolute favorite songs by him. I know
Soccer Practice. It's so good. Thank you. I had totally forgotten about him. Okay, yes. I'm definitely gonna be looking into him more.
Yeah.
But my point though is the way that I am affected by this is very minimal compared to the way that the victims were affected by this. And I just wanted to stress, in case anyone was concerned, I don't support the Game Grumps anymore. I don't want to tell anyone who they should and should not support.
But fuck that guy.
Yeah. Like, if you ask me, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just to butt in, because I, again, am mostly ignorant of this entire situation because it's about a thing I don't have any involvement with anyway. Which of the Gamid Grumps is the one who sucks ass?
Danny. His name is Dan Avedon. Sorry.
Is that what he goes by online, or is there some kind of like...
He's the lead singer of a Ninja Sex Party, and his stage name is Danny Sexbang.
Gotcha. So those are the two names. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And he's also on Game with the Grumps?
Yes. Yeah. Cool. The other person on Game Grumps is Aaron Hansen. And boy, did I go down a rabbit hole today looking through all the different Game Grumps controversies that have come up over the years, and I'm just like, and now I feel terrible for ever having supported them in the first place. So good job, me. Why did I do this to myself?
But yeah, no, I was asking so that I would, if, like, I don't know, there's a Kickstarter, like, new game by Danny whatever, that I would like to remember who this guy is.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's, I mean, I'm bummed out because that's yet another cisgender man who I thought was cool and turned out to be scummy. And
yeah, cisgender men suck.
Yeah,
I can
cancel
say
cisgender men 2021.
I can say this as a cisgender man. The not all men idea is completely false. There is no such thing as a good man. Every man is bad. I say this from experience. But
except for David Lynch, he's good.
I do love David Lynch. That's true.
And the late Stan Lee. I'm pretty certain he was great. Always has been.
Yeah, there's so many like male celebrities who I look up to who I'm just like, please don't do something really, really stupid and terrible.
Or die before anyone finds out.
Like, I'm fucking begging you, please. Yeah, that was my 3 days.
Really?
Nice.
My 3 days were the thing I was doing last time, where I was being super stressed about having a new home and a place to live. It continued for 3 more days. Stress isn't the right word. I'm not stressed. I'm just tired. It's very, very exhausting work. It has continued, but I actually now live in a very lovely and a very, very beautiful livable little home. It's still not perfect. There's still a couple things that need to be put in various places. But I would expect in the next couple of days I can probably share pictures with y'all and y'all can see, oh, this is the thing Maddy's been talking about for the last like 2 fucking weeks.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's literally it for my life.
Nice. On date night this week, me and Summer decided to do a thing that was really fun and I recommend it to everyone. So I took like a decade off of watching anime, and prior to that I mostly just watched Digimon anyways. So and she basically only watched Sailor Moon until a couple years ago, and so both of us have like on the anime canon giant holes. Like there was a bingo card going around and neither of us even came close to getting a bingo. And if I included the ones that I had read like a single volume of the manga, I still only got like 1 bingo, and it sucked. And so what we decided to do is we were going to just watch episode 1 of all of them and see if they were any good, and if we liked them, put them on our list to like watch later, instead of just having I'll get around to so and so one of these days. We're like actually dipping our toes in the water. And we watched it's Nagiasu Lull of the Sea, I think is its English name. I had never heard of it whatsoever, but it is a slice of life comedy that takes place in a world where people, like humans, naturally evolved to live underwater, and then some people gave up on that and started living on land, and they now are trying to like desegregate, and the people on land and the people in water go to school together now. And
interesting.
It was real good. We also watched episode 1 of Akudama Drive, which is stylish as fuck. If you like how Persona feels, you would probably really, really like it. And then the other one we watched was Cowboy Bebop, because I had watched it way back when. I remembered literally nothing about it. So we watched episode 1 of Cowboy Bebop, and as great as the other 2 were, Cowboy Bebop blows it completely out of the goddamn water. That show is fucking...
I cannot believe you're finally getting around to this. It's so good.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop blows most anime out of the water.
Yeah, it's like all of the neurons in my brain that had not fired since I had been in film school were like lit up like fucking Christmas watching that thing. It's so good.
It's so fucking good.
Highly recommend. So yeah, if anyone has any recommendations, we already have a list of like 60 that are on the like top 30s that we had like heard of type thing. And so if you have any recommendations, throw them at us. But other than that, it's just been 3 days, so I fucking played this game and worked. So that was it. So let's talk about this game.
Yeah,
and
got a lot of good. We got yet more good music to pick from this week. This game continues to have bespoke tracks for every town and dungeon. So lots of great music to pick from. I would suggest that for at least one of the two this week, we definitely pick the last dungeon that we had today, the Desert Ruins dungeon, because that music fucked.
I will try. They're all called BGM 1, 2, 3 on the OST. So I'll pick something that sounds good and
enjoy
potentially
something.
deserty.
Yeah, definitely enjoy a song.
Maddy, what did we do this week?
Alright, so when we last left our heroes, we had I just realized I totally forgot to write down one of my mem-moms last week. Sorry. When we last left our heroes, someone had just died. We'd had a sad little story where we had to save some dude, and then he died and stuff, and we got our and then we decided that now that we're officially Highlanders, which means that we're cool night cops, like with a K, not with an N, that we can now travel across the border because the 4 nations of this world have closed borders unless you're a cop. So we go south. We're currently in the nation of Bog, and we're going south to the nation of Sasaya in order to go to the city of Bahadina, where our presence has been requested. So, Chapter 5, The False Highlander. We travel south to the Bog-Sasaya border, where we will now be allowed to pass through to Bahadina. We learn, through NPCs and then later through cutscenes, that a pair of bandits is on the loose. We also meet a race of people we haven't seen before, aka bird dudes, or maybe there was one before, but I hadn't noticed them.
Yeah, there were a lot of them in the first town.
Okay, well, we hadn't learned about the different races at the time. And also, sometimes the graphics, you know what? I've been talking about how much I love this game's graphics, and I do. However, sometimes this game has lots of really well-designed, interesting, unique character model NPCs, but because they don't get featured in cutscenes, you never get a good look at them. So, one small issue with this game is you don't get to get a good look at things that you want to get a good look at. Anyway, so we hear more about the bandits, and then we meet some knights wearing blue armor. They're the aforementioned, we learned about last week, the Knights of Stengel. They're hunting down the bandits. Then we see Yuno and Sogrith, and they're like, then they, the Knights of Stengel, see Yuno and Sogrith, and are like, hey, it's a Kidkin and a Waterkin. The bandits we're looking for were a Kidkin and a Waterkin. So remember last week how I said that we got fireworm rings from a dying man, and how that is a little funny that makes us a Highlander because there's no witnesses, so what if we just stole the rings? Turns out the game is acknowledging that, which is really cool. We show them the rings. We're like, we're not bandits. We have these fireworm rings. And they're like, that just makes you even more suspicious. So things are about to get heck of violent when Kikima shows up in a carriage. He says, LMAO, what's going on? Hey, look, it's my buddies. My good buddies, Yuno and Tai. And also Sogrith. The Knights of Stengel are confused. And when Kikima realizes that they've been trying to arrest us, he says, LMAO, hey guys, come out here and get a load of this. So who comes out of his carriage but another main character? Or that's what I wrote in my notes. I might have been wrong, but she's very well designed. So it's Mina. She's another Kitkin, and she is cute.
So actually, her and Haseo, or whatever the fuck his name is, Wataru, they are, I think they are the protagonists of the manga and the movie and the PS2 game. I think that's Wataru's story, but I think the original light novel was someone else. I don't know, but but I do know they are the PS2
way
game.
To spoil who these people are, I was about to get there, but yeah, you're probably right. That makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of what I figured. So anyway, her obviously, I wrote that she's a kitkin and she's cute, and also her obviously not main character associate Wataru. Then I wrote, wait a second. At first glance, I thought he was dressed like a boring dumbass. But then on second glance, I realized he has the exact same outfit as Tai.
So yes, he's dressed like a boring dumbass.
Yes, but a specific kind of boring dumbass. An important boring dumbass.
Yes.
So we see what's going on here. Anyway, Kikima asks Lineart to explain what's going on. Oh yeah, Lineart is, which I'm spelling Lineart. Lineart is the head of these knights. I'm calling her she for a bit in my notes because I thought it was a she, but it's actually a he. Sorry. So he says a duo of bandits have been going around robbing people, pretending to be Highlanders with stolen Highlander rings. Also, they're a kitkin and a waterkin. Kikima is like, me and Mina are also that, so why don't you just arrest us? And it's like, yeah, he's got a point. So here's the thing: this whole time, the other soldiers have been like, it's them, get them. Whereas Lineart's been kind of just like, I guess we should get them. Yeah, are you the bandits? So he's been very quiet and sort of standoffish. So we realize here that Lineart's not some lousy cop who arrested everyone that first noticed. He actually doesn't really think we did it. He's been reticent this entire time. He's actually seems like a really interesting, sweet guy. But it's his due diligence to prove whether or not we did it. He's like, I'm a knight. I'm looking for a kitkin and a waterkin that no one recognizes, wearing 2 fireworm brands. You fit that description. I can't let you pass until you prove your innocence. So Yuno and Sagrath have to stay in custody. Kikima stays as well to keep them company, while Tai goes with Wataru and Mina to go off to catch the real bandit. So they both join our party as guests. It turns out Kikima and Lineart are friends, and here I called him Leonard. Leonard says,
his name is Leonard now.
Yeah. So Leonard refers to Tai saying, with a traveler on the case, I won't even need to bother finding the bandits myself. Yuno says it's 2 travelers. Wataru is obviously a traveler. This shocks Kikima. So we cut to Tai, Wataru, and Mina. And right off the bat, Wataru says, yeah, it's crazy meeting another traveler. And I think that this is interesting because Wataru and Tai are in every way the exact same person. They're some dumb kid from the real world. They're on some journey, they dress the same.
No real personality.
Yeah, but what's cute to me is that Wataru is not a silent protagonist, but Tai is. Mm-hmm. So this whole thing is very interesting to me for that reason. It's like, these 2 guys are obviously talking. We just can't hear what one of them is saying, and it kind of makes us feel like that this might be what Tai is actually like if we could hear him. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we have to backtrack back to Bog and ask people for information about the bandits. But I take a fork in the road and go a direction I haven't been before, and it turns out I didn't need to talk to anybody for information because I went the right way. I ended up in a cutscene. So anyway, hey look, it's a kitkin and a waterkin holding someone up for money. Instead of immediately apprehending them, Wataru has the smart idea of following them to their lair. So we do that. This dungeon is actually quite large and complex. The enemies are also interesting. There's lots of status effects and stuff. We eventually get all the way through it. It's sort of a mountain dungeon. I really enjoy the graphics and the music. And we eventually get to their lair. Here, a bunch of shenanigans happens.
So much shenanigans.
I actually didn't write all this down. I was going to go back and write it down later, but frankly, I don't think I need to. So basically, we show up, and there's these 2 people. I don't remember. There's Dusty, and I don't remember the girl's name. So there's a waterkin named Dusty and a kitkin named Who Knows. And at this point, you're like, okay, this game is doing something funny. They're doing something funny here with like this doubling because like we're Our party has a waterkin and a kitkin. We met another group of people with a waterkin and a kitkin, and now here's a third group of waterkin and kitkin that we're chasing, and all the kitkins especially are just palette swaps of each other, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
It was really, really weird and funny. It's like, oh, we love Yuno, but are Yunos just like a dime a dozen in this universe? Like, around every corner there's a cute cat girl. It's like Final Fantasy XIV, or being a trans lesbian. Eventually you're just like, it's not that exciting anymore. But anyway, so basically, I forget exactly how the order that this all comes in, but basically what happens is, they're like, haha, we overhear them talking. They're like, we had such a smart plan. We had these fireworm bands that we stole, and we're pretending to be Highlanders, and then we're robbing people. Ha 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 ha, we're so clever. Also, I should say, earlier an NPC said something that was foreshadowing. I forgot to write it down. An NPC was like, yeah, it's crazy. 2 different places were robbed at the same time. How could 2 different places be robbed at the same time? That's crazy. And my initial thought was like, well, there's 2 of them, but that's actually not the reason. So then we're like, hey, you, right? And we fight them. I said it was a pretty neat battle. It was not easy. This is the first time we've had a boss battle that's more than 1 enemy. And yeah, it was pretty tough. Considering that the Kitkin is, like, I figured she was a healer. So I was like, let's go after the healer first. That way she can't heal. But Dusty hits pretty hard. They have some interesting moves. I believe Dusty has a move that does hell of damage, but always leaves you with at least 1 HP instead of killing you. Either that, or I coincidentally got knocked down to exactly 1 HP and not dead like 3 times in this battle. What?
By this point, I had gotten a Unity skill that used all 3 of them. I can't remember what it was called. It had a really hilarious name. But I used that, and it pretty much killed them both. Like, I think it had nearly killed one of them, and it did kill the other.
Maybe it hadn't unlocked.
And then I just had to get 1 more hit on one of them.
Well, good. So anyway, I had some. I mean, it wasn't like hard, but it was a regular battle for me. Like they hit me, I hit them. I finished the battle with like not full health at all, like half health. I took some damage. I was like, oh, that was a little. I had to use my brain on that battle, which is important.
Using that ability. I will say, using that ability on the first fight was a real bad idea on my part. Apparently,
right. So you finished this battle.
I didn't have any BP left, and
yeah. Yeah, so we finished this battle, and we demand that they return what they stole, but then another pair of Kitkin and Waterkin arrive. And then they start arguing, and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, you showed up just in time. And they all have these, like, fucking, like, Boston-ass, like, accents written into the dialogue. It's really funny. So they're like, just get them already. So then we have another boss battle with, again, the exact same characters, but with different names and different color palettes. They might have had different moves or not. They might have been harder or easier. I'm not sure. Because here's the thing. I went into this battle with like half HP and half BP. So it was a vastly different battle, even if it was the same stats. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was very on the defensive. It was a tough battle for me. So I don't actually know if they were harder or not, like on paper. But it's obviously tough fighting 2 battles in a row. So we beat them. I beat them on my first try. Oh, did I not write this down? Oh, I guess I didn't write this down. But after you beat them, you're like, oh, I see. I think it's like, I figured out everything. There's actually 2 of you, and y'all are both twins. It turns out that they are, in fact, I wrote this down. Sorry. Sometimes you write something down in your Google Doc, and then like maybe you didn't have your internet on, and it doesn't save or something.
Oh.
I guess I did. I guess this part didn't get saved. I'll just wing it. So it turned out that they're twins. They're literally a pair. They're literally a pair of twins. Twin Kitkins and twin Waterkins, and they decided to be twin bandits together. Kind of a the Prestige situation. Or, sorry, not the Prestige. The Prestige is, like, weird cloning. There's some movie with magicians where it turns out the guy just had a secret twin the whole time.
Yeah, it's the other one. It's not the Prestige. It's the other one.
Gotcha. That's a
Came
good
out
movie
the same
too.
year. They're the same movie.
Yeah, that was the twist in that movie. Sorry
The
for spoiling that
Illusionist.
twist. Yeah, sorry for spoiling The Illusionist. The twist is that he had a twin the entire time. So
I kind of
anyway.
want to see that, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot different. The Prestige is like, it's Nolan, so it's very dramatic, it's very hip, it's very chic. The Illusionist is very much like drama period piece, even though it's about the same subject matter of like a magician. Anyway, it's a dope movie I recall from when I watched it when I was a child. Anyway, so we figured it out, would have gotten away with it too from pretty meddling kids. But then a third pair of Kinkin and Waterkin shows up. And it's like, that's right, this is our trump card, our big secret that no one knows, is that we're actually triplets. So then we fight them. And again, it's extremely stupid. And we fight them. And by this point, we're hurting pretty bad, both mechanically and narratively. So finally, Leonard shows up, and he puts an end to all this fucking shenanigans. He arrests them, tells us good work, and that we can return to the border and continue on our way. Back at the office, he apologizes for detaining us, but Kikima and Yuno reveal that their, quote, detainment was more like a feast, and that they got to hang out and eat food while we were off doing bullshit. They do the anime thing where Yuno's character trait is that she eats a lot, so they all dunk on her for eating a lot, eating everyone out of house and home. Mina and Wataru wish us fair travels, and hope that our wish comes true. Yuno says that she wishes that they could have joined us, but Saga says they had their own travels and journeys to fulfill. Also, I didn't pick up on this, but Yuno does. Yuno is like, it seems like Sagarth knows something he's not telling us, which, again, I didn't even pick up on that subtlety, but I guess that's the case. Leonard says that the victims of the bandits all banded together to give us a gift, and he gives us a sack with 4 gems inside. There's a red one, which is burning hot, blue, freezing cold, purple, shocky, and green, windy one. I picked the fire one, and it starts glowing, and it turns out that the gem of the spirit says it bears the goddess power. It turns out this is one of the special gems. It powers up our sword more, and gives us whatever stat we picked. So now I do fire damage, and have resistance to fire for the whole game. I really like how they're keeping up this like Kingdom Hearts style thing where like you make very specific decisions throughout the story to build your character in a specific way, and you don't get to change it. It's just like, yeah, what element do you want to have? It's cool. I'm hoping it happens a few more times.
I'm really glad that I also picked fire because bugs are weak to fire, so it made
They sure are.
it made this next thing way easier.
I picked lightning because purple's my favorite color.
Nice.
No wonder it was much harder for you.
I pretty much just picked fire because it seemed like it fit the character's personality, such as it is. Like this is like a impetuous little ragamuffin. He probably likes fire, you know. But anyway, so we got the gem, but now we got to find a star sigil so that Ty can visit home again. Leonard says, here I actually wrote Leonard again. Not like a joke, I just wrote it. Leonard tells us that he saw one nearby, so we do the thing. So we go to the hospital again. This is still a very brief scene, but boy, it is quite a bit more. So Mimi says once again, she's like, Ty, ... don't leave me hanging, ... Then, outside the door, we hear the doctor talking with an unknown other person. He says, quote, where have you been? Your parents haven't seen you in days. The unknown other says something like, please hold on a bit longer, I have to something. Then, the mysterious female voice from the beginning of the game speaks to us again. Ty, do you want to know the name of the person who did this to Mimi? The bells ring. The lady says his name is Ray. He's a traveler just like you, but with a black heart. We get back and we share, and yes, it turns out Ray was that hot guy we saw last week. So
I think they had said his name during
they
the
did.
previous week.
They did.
They did. They reconfirmed that when you get back because maybe you forgot. Like if you're me. Or maybe you weren't sure because you heard you're like, Ray, who was that again?
That's fair.
So anyway, on to chapter 6, Menace in the Desert. That's right, folks. That entire chapter was just us attempting to go to a place and not being able to. So, chapter 6, we finally head south to Vahadina, But I notice a fork in the road and stop by Lourdes Observatory. And we learned something very strange, which is that in the center of the continent is a place called Bella Rubesi, where one can find the weapons of all the travelers who gave up on their journey, as well as miniature versions of all the towns they visited. Well, probably. No one can get up there without riding on a fireworm, so it's just a myth. I'm guessing that's where the end of the game's going to happen. Big Mystic Quest energy. Anyway, so we also learned that sometimes a mysterious forest will appear in the middle of the desert, like a mirage. But it doesn't stay very long, and no one knows when it will appear, so it's very difficult to explore. Here, I also picked up my first side quest of the simple go get 5 things variety. Turns out that if you go and backtrack to all the previous towns, you can in fact pick up some side quests. Now that we have a quest log. I spent quite a bit of time doing this, and I might fill y'all in later. So finally, we get to Vahadina. This observatory is probably important. There's a special lead observatorier scientist guy at the top, but they won't let us go see him because he doesn't want to be disturbed. So maybe that'll be important later, right? So at Vahadina, we visit the branch to see what's up, and everyone's gone. All the Highlanders, Melody plus 10 others, went out to go scout the desert ruins, but they haven't returned, even though it's been 10 entire days. This is some guy telling us this. Melody has a little sister named Cecilia, and Cecilia really wants to go after her big sis. So Solbay asks us to go either talk her down or go with her. We find Cecilia, and oh no, she's really pretty. Sogrith sweet talks her, and she eventually is convinced to not put herself in danger going in the desert, but instead to lend us her carriage so we can go do it. So, just like in older Dragon Quest games, we have a fucking carriage now.
Hell yeah.
And the world map music changed to be a lot more heroic. It's really good. It's the same melody, but now it's all marchy. So we head off into the desert. Partway through our journey, a scene plays out. We're taking a break by the carriage, but Yuno's good luck charm starts glowing and won't stop. Oh, that means there's a star sigil in the area. Nice. That also means there's a gemstone nearby. Sogrith looks around and sees something shiny, right over there. Oh, look, there's a gemstone. No. It's a fireworm band. In fact, it's Melody's fireworm band. Oh no, something must have happened to her right here. Boss music, screen shake, quicksand. A huge sinkhole opens up beneath us and consumes Ty and the party. We come to in some ancient underground ruins. I happen to take the first 3 intersections correctly on my first try and immediately find Melody.
Yep, me too.
I think I just went left 3 times. She's being menaced by 3 giant ant thingies. So they're like a minotaur? Imagine a minotaur. No, sorry, a tar. Wait, what's the name of that, man? A centaur. It's like a centaur, but instead of horse, it's ant. Kind of. I don't know. They're really weird creatures. So after
their name is Emmett.
Yeah. So it turns out Emmett isn't like their name, like a person, even though it's a person's name, but that's the name of an ant creature is called an Emmett, which is very strange. Yeah. So anyway, after we defeat them, we introduce ourselves. Melody is ecstatic to finally have some backup, and she's like, Kite must have run you ragged. We're silent. She goes on. She apparently she kept telling Kite that she would train the recruits herself on the job, but he refused to send people to help her unless they passed all of his trials. Because of this, we're the first recruits to ever come to her from Lyris. No one else has ever actually passed Kite's trials. She says that because of that, she's been deprived of much needed reinforcements, and therefore Kite owes her a drink at the bar for all of her trouble. We finally have to tell, at this point we finally have to tell her the truth, which is that Kite is dead. She's really sad, and Yuno is worried that she'll blame us for not getting to him in time, but she tells us it's not our fault. Then she asks us to help her save her comrades from the ants, and Yuno is extremely in lesbians with her. She joins the party. The whole time Yuno is just like, this is the coolest person I've ever seen in my life.
Agreed.
It's really cute. Yeah, she's not wrong at all. Sam, when we were talking earlier, referred to a character as Mitsuru, And I thought he was jokingly referring to Melody as Mitsuru because she's the Mitsuru of this game. Turns out that's not the case. But if you wanted an idea for who we're dealing with here, that's who we're dealing with here.
Yes.
So she joins our party. So now we have to actually pick our party. We have 4 party members, and only 3 of them can be in at once. We actually have to pick. The sad news is that Mitsuru has heal spells, and is basically just but better. So sorry, There is one big issue with her. Mm-hmm.
She can't do damage if her life depended on it, and she's squishy as hell. So I agreed that her heal spells are better. But partway through, I switched back to because it just has more versatility.
Her attacks are good sometimes. It's actually it's conditional, actually. I mean, maybe you didn't have her in your party long enough to realize that, but yeah.
But she basically did 1 damage every attack, so I switched her the fuck out of there.
Oh wow, that wasn't the case in my party at all. Anyway, I don't know. But the other thing, I would say the only real issue with her is that she is slower than which means you can't rely on getting that heal, that first turn heal of the round. Which is tricky. But she was really good in other ways, so I kept her. Also, she and Ty get a really good dual tech where it raises both of their attack,
that's dope.
Which fucks. So anyway. Partway through, we hit a dead end, but there's a conspicuous stone on the wall. Yuna, being a brain genius, intuits that we should hit the block to open. She's like, "Oh, I can solve the puzzle. We should hit the block to open the way." So she hits the block, and then the floor beneath Ty opens up, and he plummets below. So our party is separated. Everyone's like, you dipshit.
And she says a thing that is great. It's kind of a memorable moment, but fuck it. She's like, no, it's okay. Even if we get separated, I wrote his name and his home branch on his shoulder so someone can return him home. They're like, who the fuck's going to find him buried under sand at the bottom of a fucking ruin?
Thank you for saying that, Sam. I was going to put it as a mem mom, but then as we later find out, it's important.
It's important.
Yeah. So that's extremely cute and funny. She's like she's like a little tiny baby child. She's like, oh yeah, I wrote his name, age, dietary restrictions, bedtime. Anyway, so when we get down there, we meet another traveler. This is the second other traveler we've met this week. It's a cutie named Mitsuru. I said cutie. I mean, I'm not saying boys can't be cuties, but I figured it was a girl because of the name Mitsuru. But sometimes you can't tell someone's name, someone's gender by their name. I'm pretty sure it's a dude. Because I mean, so far all the travelers have been young boys identical to us. This one though is not identical to us. He's really coy about what he's doing here, but he asks us to work together with him to escape. Instead of a cool traveler sword, he has a cool staff. He joins as a guest. I immediately get into a fight with a giant woman and get owned. What I mean by that is one of the enemies in this area is like a sexy vampiress lady.
Seductress is what they're called.
Oh, I was going to call her a seductress as a descriptive term, but she's actually called that. Okay,
that's actually
She's really sexy, and in this the very first battle I got into with one, she became enraged. And it turns out that when the woman becomes enraged and gets giant, you get a game over.
Do not good life lesson. With the giant crazed woman.
Yeah, exactly. If a woman gets mad and gets twice as big, you should run away.
This podcast brought to you by Resident Evil Village.
Anyway, ignoring that. After a bit of dungeon, and this dungeon is pretty tough. All the enemies require some fucking effort. After a bit of effort, we get to a big rock slide with 2 pedestals in front. Hence needing to work together. So Mitsuru tells us to stand at one pedestal and chant an incantation with him so that it will destroy the rock slide. It works. Real quick, I should say that Mitsuru this whole time is he's a weird character. Whenever you defeat an enemy, he says stuff like, actually, this is a mem-mom, but I think it's actually important. He says stuff like, did I not write this down? I did a bad job writing stuff down this time. He always says stuff, he's just don't mess with me. He seems like an 8-year-old trying too hard to be cool. So he's very much he's very Sasuke. He's very Sasuke. So I don't know what the deal is with him. So anyway, we get back upstairs, and he says we gotta part ways, but if we keep going and are courageous, we'll see our wish come true. And we won't end up like, quote, someone else he knows. He teleports away, because he can do that. Our party members find Tai, and now we're all together again. So, we make our way deeper to the Emmett lair. We find some Highlanders. They're injured, but not gravely. And then the boss shows up. It is a huge spider lady, very Lolth-esque, very Quelaag, second boss in Dark Souls ass. It's a really tough battle, although we're not to the battle yet. So there's a really cute scene where the boss shows up, and what's her name, Melody, is like, as the captain of this chapter of the Highlanders, I order all of you to run away and save yourself while I fight this beast. And then we're kind of like, no, we're not going to do that. And then all the other Highlanders take their rings and they throw them down. They say, well, I resign. I'm not a Highlander anymore. And then we do that too. It's really cool. And then she looks at us and she's like, you care about me? But then in case that wasn't enough to show her the power of friendship and that we're not going to follow her orders to let her die, Yuno is then like, oh yeah, also, Tai found your fireworm ring in the desert, so actually we're the captain now. And she's like, fucking fine, we'll all fight the monster together. And
the scene was basically, everyone was like, I'm not Spartacus, and then Yuno's like, you know what, fuck it, I am Spartacus.
Yeah. It was a really sweet scene. This whole game is just really sweet little scene, just really sweet characters. Then we fight the battle, and it's, as we mentioned earlier, it's really hard. Eli said it was super hard, but he beat it on his first try. It took me 2 tries, although the first try was pretty close, and the second try I was a lot more defensive, and it, I think, went a lot better, and Sam beat it on his first try.
Yeah, I beat it on my first try because I knew it was going to be hard, so I was playing real defensive from the jump.
I got really lucky toward the end of the fight because, Yuno was dead, Sagrath and Butsia were still up, and the boss, Emistine, I think it was called, came after Butsia, but Sagrath jumped in front of it and took the death.
Nice.
Yep, that happens sometimes in this game.
Yeah, the very next turn, Butsia was able to finish it off. I was dope. Like, man, I missed out on all that experience for Yuno and Saga.
You get experience when you, no matter what, at the end of the thing.
Nope, it's at 0.
I died on the fight right before this. I had 2 of the iron Dumaflachis that I had to fight.
Yeah, because you killed one of them and then...
No, because the differences was between 120 and like 150. So the one that got the thing did it. But that's weird. I don't know.
For me, it definitely said 2,500 for 2,500 for Butsia, 0 for Yuno, 0 for Sagrath, and some for Melody. Well, I don't remember exactly how much.
Perfect didn't even participate. Get some. Ugh. Anyway, good job beating it though. So anyway, afterward, not only are we 100% pooped in real life, the party is 100% pooped in the game. There's a lot of dialogue about what a hard fight that was, so I kind of like that. It's like they intentionally made the fight really hard, and then narratively it's also really hard.
This is the first time where like the characters have been after a fight like, wow, this was hard, where I wasn't like, no, it fucking wasn't. So it was surprisingly apt.
We've played a lot of RPGs on this pod where like afterward they're like, we can't take much more of this, and we're like, yes, we could have.
Like, you forget we've been hoarding potions since the first dungeon. We could have been at this all day.
Yeah, I think there's even been scenes where it's like we fight like 20 enemies in a row, and then they're like, how, we can't do this anymore, and it's like, I literally could fight 500 of these enemies. Stupid cutscene. But yeah, in this case it actually works. So, Then the spider lady starts glowing, and what comes out of her is another gem. It's the gem of the sage. He says he's the Lord of Autonomy, which is interesting. We level up our sword. Our sword gets even cooler. What's up?
I was about to say he's the sage of kick-ass sword.
Yeah. Our sword gets even more cool looking. And we learn heal and exit spell. So our boy is becoming a regular old Dragon Quest, which is neat.
Oh yeah.
But where's the star sigil? Oh, he then exit spells us out of the dungeon. But where's the star sigil? Turns out where the whole area is surrounded by light, the entire ruins was the star sigil. We learned this through a weirdly voice-acted cutscene. Did we? Is this the first one we've had? Did I forget?
We had several in the first week.
Okay. Have we had any since then?
No.
Yeah, because the last couple scenes of, like, glowy star sigil has just been like, you walk up to the star sigil, the screen turns white, and you warp. But this one was like a crazy cutscene of him, like, holding his sword aloft, and the music, and everyone's like, wow! It was very strange. And it was good. It was a good scene. It's just weird that we have one.
They probably had to do it because of the whole the ruins are the star sigil thing, and they couldn't zoom the camera out enough to do that without being in the special engine.
Maybe. The voice actress is really cute.
Yes.
So anyway, whatever. We warp off to Earth. So now we're in the hospital again. Mimi says, for the 3rd out of 5 times, we're in the hospital again. Mimi says, muttering in her sleep, that she's having a dream of when the two of us were young and we were playing together when we were little. And she's like, Ty, ... I wrote your name on your sleeve in case you get lost. ... Ty, I dug a hole to trap you and you fell into it. That was so much funny. And I'm like, oh ho ho ho. The thing that we had already kind of assumed was happening is happening more now, which is really neat. Yeah, I don't know. It's like this game is like Eternal Sonata, except instead of being Chopin, we're just some guy. So a familiar voice from off screen says, "Hey, so that's what you're wasting your wish on." We turn and holy cow, it's Ray. He's right there. And even though we're in the real world, he's still dressed like a supervillain. We pull our sword on him, and he says, we better not, otherwise he'll destroy us and Mimi. He says he was in town and just thought he'd stop by to impart, quote, one of life's little lessons. Don't trust anybody. Or rather, I guess you can trust people if you want, I don't care, but you'll regret it. Which is a really funny way to do that. He jumps out of the window. He actually falls backward dramatically out of the window. And then we hear the couple from before saying, quote, he came home. When we tell Melody, and then the bells ring and we go back home. Or we go back to Vision. When we tell our party about this, Melody is really upset about the whole not trusting anyone thing. She's straight up offended. Because Highlanders are heck of trustworthy. And then she makes us all, like, do the Highlander vow, which is cool. And then she's like, fuck that guy. I can't believe he would say not to trust me. I'm going to kick his ass. I'm joining your party and leaving my entire chapter. Which is a very trustworthy thing of her to do. So one of the other Highlanders is like, oh no, here we go again. Suggesting that Melody is often getting up to bullshit. She makes the other Highlanders give us their bands so that we can be full-fledged recruits. She also says, I guess you should probably just find a way to explain this to my sister. And then y'all run off. She's very flip. She's like, oh boy, adventure. Oh, right, my sister's going to be sad. I don't know, tell her something, figure something out. Pram, one of the other Highlanders, suggests that we head for Gassara because it's a massive trade hub, so we should get a lead on the next gemstone. He says, get a lead on the next gemstone as if the gemstones are things that exist or are acknowledged or there's any rhyme or reason to when we get them. I guess what he means is get a lead on who's someone who's in trouble, what's the big monster we can kill. Maybe that'll get us a gemstone for no reason. Anyway, that's it for the week. That's chapter 6. We are heading east through the desert to Gassara. Or if you're me, we're going to go around and do a lot more side quests.
Hell yeah. So let's listen to Let's listen to BGM 27, whatever the fuck that is. That's the one we're going to listen to.
Okay, unless of course it like is the ending theme and simultaneously has dialogue that spoils the game.
Yes. Septerra Core was a weird experience, but let's talk about our memorable moments. So I didn't write any down, but going by the things that Maddy skipped over, I have one that I remember, and I want to say it before I forget. So when you're traveling with Boy Mitsuru and you're going through the thing, you wake up and he's like, "Oh, hey, you're finally awake. Well, maybe you can help me because I couldn't steal your gems to get my own wish." And he wakes up. He's like, "So Tatsuya, I need your help."
Oh yeah,
and you're like taken aback for a second. He's like, "Oh, by the way, who writes their name on their sleeve?" It's so good.
It wasn't by choice.
That's one of the ones I remember. I'm sure the other one I remember is when you find the Highlanders like in the Emmett nest. She's like, "Oh no, everyone's dead. I will avenge you." And they're like, "Chill out. We were just taking a nap because we got lost." It was so good.
I just have one that I wrote down. When they're talking about Ray and Yuno realizes that he's the guy who killed Kite, she goes, "That meanie." She I think she even said, "Ray killed Kite, that meanie." And I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
He's a meanie.
Yeah.
He's a meanie for
The
killing
mean
a
thing
man.
to do. Don't do it. It's mean.
He's big poo poo head. Like, could you really not come up with something
No, she's a
stronger
nice
than
girl.
meanie?
She doesn't know any bad words.
Especially because like this game clearly can have stronger language. Like when you I skip past this, but when you pull your sword on Ray in the hospital, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go, but like, don't get in my way, or I'll destroy both you and Mimi, and I'll cut your part of me into little pieces."
Yeah. You meanie.
Yeah.
Meanie. What a meanie.
Fucking meanie. Yeah.
Ugh.
He's a big old jerk face.
I got a couple. First one I have is an anti-memorable moment. It's memorable in a bad way. When we're talking with the bandits and they're being all like, again, acting like fucking mobsters. They're like, "Yeah, she." I know earlier today they had a Boston accent. I don't know what accent they're supposed to have. It's not a voice acting game, okay? But they just have like mobster accents written into the dialogue. They say something very cliche, like from a movie where they're like, you know, something bad will happen to you if you mess with us. And Wataru says, "You think you can scare us off with hackneyed TV dialogue?" And I'm like, is this a Working Designs game?
Well, it's because Wataru is from a land with TV.
Oh.
He's from the real world.
Okay, fine. That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. Never mind. We're good.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what the fuck is it? How do I know what a TV is? But you're, no, 100%. Never mind. I rescind my being annoyed.
Yeah. But speaking of
anyway,
Wataru, I did look it up, and he is the main
on.
character of the book, the manga, the movie, and the PS2 game. I don't know about the DS game because the DS game is weird.
Nice.
But
nice. Few of my moms, very anime-ass dialogue. When you are feeling sad because Kite died and you couldn't save him, and Melody is saying to get over it, she says, "Dwell on the past and you're digging your own grave," which is a nice way to say that sentence. Yeah. I like it. Also, right, so that's all I have that isn't related to side quests. So here's the thing. I'm doing side quests now. They're fun. Here's how side quests work. Go back to every town you've already been to if you feel like backtracking, and just talk to every NPC. You don't need to read what they say. Some of them do have new dialogue, by the way. This game's doing the thing where AMCs are always having new dialogue. It's great. I really like it. But you don't have to be like, oh, I got to read the dialogue carefully because what if it's a side quest? If one of them is a side quest, it'll go into a cutscene. So you don't have to, so you can just smash through the dialogue button. Don't read it. If it goes into a cutscene, that's a side quest. In case you're curious, there's one side quest in the first town in the game. There's Lanka. There's 2 in Sasaya. There's 1 in Lyris. There's 1 in the observatory I mentioned, and I believe that there's 1 in Vahadina, though I forget. There may or may not have been 1 in Vahadina. And some of them, they all have a little bit of a plot to them. They're all quite cute, actually. Again, they're not just like the first one I got was literally go steal 5 of these things from an enemy, and the other ones were like go defeat a strong enemy, go get an item. But they put a lot more work into them. They do have cute little narratives around them. The first one was the most boring. Like I said, the one at the observatory. But it's still pretty good. It's a actually forget. Oh, the person's like, oh, my boss is gonna kill me. I need 5 of these things. So you go get the things, and when you give them back, is like, why did you need these? Did your boss ask you to get them? And she's like, well, not exactly. I'm always hurting myself on the job. And I hurt myself so much that I used up all of our medicinal supplies. So I need to make more so that no one gets mad for me about me using all of them. And I'm like, that's cute. Also, you shouldn't have to do that. We have OSHA. But anyway. Yeah, so that's one of them. But another one, though, that I wanted to bring up is... well, let's see, which one is it? I think it's someone in Sasaya says they want you to go all the way back to Lanka Forest and get some honey from one of the special enemies there. So I'm running around and I'm like, where is this fucking enemy? Oh my god, why is it not showing up? Turned out it's a special enemy. And I'm not sure if I had to go to a certain spot on the map or if it was just RNG. I don't actually remember. But at a certain spot, I get into a battle and there's a very, very, very big enemy that is like not at level for that forest at all. It's like at level for where I actually was. So it's actually a little bit of a miniature boss battle. And I beat it. And then there's a little cutscene, because we're back in Lanka Forest, where they're like, oh, we found the honey, yay. And then is like, hey, remember this is where we first met. And then they have a cute little scene where they reminisce about their travels and all they've been through together so far. So you're getting all that kind of stuff. Again, recommend, it's good. Another one, Vincent is an artist in Lyris, but he's going to pull his fucking hair out because no matter how hard he tries, he can't seem to create the right shade of red. So he can't succeed as an artist. So you go and mash some enemies to get their guts because it'll give him a good shade of red for its art.
That's gross.
A guy who is in Sasaya, another waterkin who is like kind of like Sawgriff's weird uncle, is a delivery. He runs like a delivery company, and he accidentally double booked. So he's like, Sawgriff, I'm gonna go do this delivery. You do this one. And we're like, it's all the way in Lyris. Do we have to? And he's like, no time to talk. Bye. And then Sawgriff is like, I think we have to do this. I'm sorry. It's really cute. And when you finish it, he's like, yeah, it's because like he's kind of looked after me since I was little. Like, we probably just need to do this thing for him. Just like, come on. And we don't get to choose not to. It's cute. It's cute. I mean, I guess we could just not do the side quest, but whatever. Let's see what else. Oh yeah. Also, when we're in the desert town, we have a cutscene where someone gives us a better net, which is cute. Mm-hmm. When we first meet, I keep getting her name, Melody. When we first meet Melody in the underground dungeon, she goes off at about like night stuff, and is like, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And then at some point, she's like, you get to choose to either say, she asks you, she asks Ty, like, will you fight with me? And again, she's being really cool. And you can either say, are you even listening? Or you can say, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
I went with that one.
I also went with that one.
Too.
It was cute. And then the final one I wanted to mention is when you're doing the side quests, It was the first side quest I ever got, even though it's the last one narratively so far, the one in the observatory. You talk to him, and the lady is literally just like, oh no, I'm in a pickle. I've got a problem. She doesn't say what it is. And right off the bat, is like, we'll solve your problem. We're on it. And then I think Sagrip is like, don't you think you should like ask her what her problem is first? And Yuna's like, why? We're going to help her out anyway. So yeah, it's cute. I would recommend don't necessarily. Also the psychos give good rewards. Most of them give you blueprints for crafting, nice. Which is dope. I would recommend probably don't bother backtracking to get the old ones, but definitely talk to all the NPCs and do the new ones because they're fun little stories and they get you leveled up because this game's actually hard now apparently. And you get some good items from it. So do that. And that is everything I've got. Oh, also one more thing. I fought a bird battle and won, and nothing happened. So don't
do it.
Yeah, it literally doesn't seem to loop back in with the game at all, except that you can sell your birds for good items at the stores. But like literally, I lost the battle, nothing happened, and then I asked for a rematch, and I won, and the guy was like, you beat me, and that was it. Whatever.
Damn.
Yeah, it's dumb. Anyway, that's it. Sam, you should do your thing.
I'm not doing anything with those fucking birds, just for the record. I do not care.
It was fun. I enjoyed the battle, but yeah, you don't get anything out of it.
Yeah. If you liked what you heard today, you should check us out on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where you can support us, help us keep the lights on around here, and in return, you will be able to vote on our next game. We will have our Best of the Rest vote happening in just a couple of weeks when we start playing Tales of Symphonia. And you also will be able to listen to our brand spanking new insert air horn sound Ko-Fi exclusive podcast, Book Club no Kiseki. I should say that clearer. I stuttered like in between syllables there. But Book Club no Kiseki. It is a super duper longest of long casts covering the entirety of the Trail series. So we have started and we played half of the prologue. So we are in it for a long time.
I saw you talking in the chat and you were like, yeah, let's just do the pre-prologue this week. And I was like, the pre-prologue? Are you kidding me? Sam was like, yeah, the pre-prologue was 10 pages of notes. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, so we're going to be at this for a long time, and it would mean a lot to me if you came and checked us out. So the first episode will be up by the time that this episode is up. So hit us up at www.rpgbook.club, where you can get a link to that. And if you're already in the Discord, you may not have noticed that there is a special channel for that, or the talking about that that show, that subcast, and it is for supporters only. So come on, hang out in the Discord, enjoy your walled garden where you can make fun of people, because that's what walled gardens are for. Other than that, on our website we also have launched merch, which is really cool. Haven't got anybody to buy one yet. Come slap my face on your chest. It'll be a great time. But for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Webbin.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bring on the birds. I feel like you need to like push up your glasses and do a little nasally voice first and say, actually, it's pronounced ease.
Actually.
That reminds me, Eli, remember at fucking Classic Games Fest, that guy that came up who was a huge fan of Lunar, and every time I said Aerith, he corrected me and said Eris.
Oh my god,
like,
yeah.
Lunar?
Lunar because the Working Designs voice acting says Lunar when what's his face, the bad guy in our game that's not the bad guy in your game, when he was like, oh, I'm going to take over the world of Lunar, he says it that way.
Yeah.
So therefore that's it. And then because the original Final Fantasy VII said Eris instead of Aerith, he's,
you know what, I respect it.
It's like,
it is a very dumb way of thinking about things, but he is consistent.
Right? I'll take
it's just a weird hill to die on.
Yeah. Because it's
like normally when people are really obsessive weeb type people, usually they're very Japanophiles. And,
this guy is sticking to the actual translation.
Yeah, and a lot of the time that Japanophilia can often get kind of, it can border on like exoticizing and being like weird and like a weird kind of condescending racism where like even though you're a fan of something, you're like being weird about it. But yeah, he's avoiding that by doing the exact opposite. He's like, no, the original Western release is the official way that
it is. Yeah, honestly, I'd say good for him, but I don't want to be reminded of the Deke version of Sailor Moon, so...
Damien!
It was Darian.
Darian, sorry.
Damien.
Come on, Sam. I had no idea.
I just did the same thing to you. I just fucking corrected you.
But what's great is, like, I thought I was giving Deke the benefit of the doubt because Damien is at least a Anglification of Endymion. It's like the same letters, so I was like, surely that's what they went for. But no, it's Darian.
They should have just gone all the way and made it like Darren,
right?
Well, and like he wasn't Prince Endymion, he was Prince Darian. So like his parents apparently gave him the same name that he had in his past life. How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah. Though I do have to say that of the changes, like Serena is a great localization choice for Usagi. It like loses. It's better than Bunny, the original Tokyo Pop translation. So like Serena is okay, but most of the other ones are not okay.
I'm gonna actually you on that because while Tokyo Pop did call her Bunny throughout the majority of the series, at the very beginning she says, "My name is Serena, but people call me Bunny."
Oh, okay.
So it still was Serena, but yeah, I think it was meant to be
hello?
Like hi.
Okay.
Did you just mute yourself, or did
I muted myself on purpose? I muted myself on purpose for a second, but then when I unmuted myself, as soon as I unmuted myself, the two of y'all shut up. And I guess it was a coincidence, but it sounded like y'all cut off. But I think y'all just both stopped talking for 5 seconds right at the second I hit the button. So I was very confused. I thought it was like a tech issue. I was like, I unmuted myself. Why are they being quiet now? It's weird.
But I think Bunny was meant to be a play on Usagi-chan. So it was meant to be like the cute version of her name.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
No.
And like Rei and Minako became Rei, Raye, and Mina.
Those are okay.
Makoto to Lita makes no fucking sense.
No sense at all. And
not a goddamn bit.
And Lita's not even like a name.
Like, yeah, there was speculation in the Sailor Moon fandom that it was meant to be a play on Leto, which is one of the moons of Jupiter. But why wasn't her name just Leto then?
Yeah.
Why was it Lita?
Why wasn't her name just like Juniper or something?
Yeah. If I had the authority, I would Leto that entire localization.
And Ami became Amy, like, whatever. Yeah. I don't know where the fuck they got Molly out of Naru. God, I don't even want to get started on the outer Senshi.
Yeah, there's a lot of real bad names.
So much shit. This is Sailor Eli bitches about the Deke and Cloverway dubs of Sailor Moon.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks about Serena is Chibiusa doesn't make sense, and so calling her Rini is real bad. No one's name is Rini.
Oh.
It's like not even syllables that sound nice together.
Nope. Sounds terrible.
Right? Like, they should have called her Sarah if it was Serena and Sarah. Like, come on. It's right fucking there.
It is.
But sure, we'll go with Rini.
Yeah.
Welcome to RPG Sailor Moon Club.
The podcast where I understand very little of what is being discussed.
Welcome to my world, like the majority of the
are
time.
Turned into other kinds of words that aren't good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Which is reasonable concept to grasp, admittedly.
Yes. Okay, let's get started. Because that segues into a thing that I'm going to talk about on this week on, so might as well just get started.